So we're going to jump right into Frank Turek's latest edition of his old book that he's rehashing. He added some more bigoted stuff about trans people in this newest edition. The book itself is actually old. I think it was published first in 2008. Um, but he uh, he likes to make he if you listen to any of Frank Turek's speeches or the conferences that he does, he always shills for a book. And hey, that's fine. Um, Everybody's got to make money. So some people make an honest living and some people are Frank Turek. Can't be mad at him for trying to make some money. But I want to cover roughly 10 pages or so of this book. We'll see how long 10 pages takes. I tend to ramble on a lot. So I don't want each video to run on too long. So if it goes quick, maybe we'll cover more. If it's taking too long, I don't want to cover less. And I don't think we're going to go through every single page here because I'm sure a lot of it is absolute nonsense. But let's get right into it. This is Frank Turek's book, Correct, Not Politically Correct, about same-sex marriage and transgenderism. So we're going to start here. Page 1, introduction, beyond tolerance. So this is apparently a conversation that he's having with somebody. I don't know. Um, why do you care if homosexuals marry one another? That's a really good question, and this is exactly why I am limiting it to 10 pages, because I have a feeling that every sentence is going to be a like 5-minute tangent about how awful it is. Why do you care if homosexuals marry one another? That's a very good question. Why do you care? Live and let live. I wish I could say that same sex marriage is okay. I only get abuse by opposing it, but I can't. Why not? Same sex marriage wouldn't hurt you, this person exclaims. Actually, it would hurt everyone. Me, you, the children, and our country, and even homosexuals. Okay. How so? I'll tell you why. But first, but you'll need to know something first. What's that? It's not my intention to be politically correct, just correct. Because Frank Turek is correct about nothing ever. You're not going to be offensive, are you? Not deliberately, but I found some people find the truth offensive. That's fine. I can take it. Some people find the truth offensive. Let's see what truths Frank Turek is about to speak that are some people might find offensive. All right, here we go. What should I do if someone close to you tells you he's gay? Cry, shrug, rejoice? Well, I have a I mean, that's a strange question. If someone tells you that they're gay, you can just continue living your life. You don't have to do anything. I mean, of course, it's going to be situation to situation. If it's a child telling a parent that, hey, I might have feelings for the same sex, then you would react differently than if a stranger on the street walked up to you and they said, hey, I'm gay. You could just you just continue living your life. Every situation's gonna require a different response, but cry, shrug, rejoice. Why are you it's this victim complex. Like, nobody expects anything of you, Frank Turek. Nobody wants your opinions on on how you feel about their sexuality. Nobody does. Nobody cares. Let's keep going. Oh, okay, we are coming to the point culturally that if we don't respond with anything less than joy and celebration, we are unenlightened homophobes who need therapy. Well, I agree with half of that. We're not coming to the point culturally that if you don't respond with anything less than joy and celebration, if somebody tells you you're gay, you can literally say okay and move on with your life. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to have joy or celebration. It's when you have the opposites. That's when, yeah, it might become a problem, because you are unenlightened homophobes who need therapy. Absolutely, you are. We are told here. Let me highlight this. Okay, I can't highlight this. Um, we are told that gay people are born that way. Nobody's telling you that gay people are born that way. Are gay people born that way? Maybe, but I don't care. Yes, they are. No, they're not. It's irrelevant. Don't care one single bit. We are being told that gay people are born that way. Nobody's telling Frank Turek that, hey, gay people are born that way. And if they are, so what? So it's better to accept that person for who he is rather than forcing him to live a lie. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely better to accept the person for who he is rather than forcing him to live a lie. This is being said with contempt. Like, it's being said as if accepting a person for who they are rather than forcing them to live a lie is the wrong thing to do. That's how it's being portrayed here. We'll keep going. A childhood friend of mine told his parents that he was gay. First, there was shock and denial, but soon there was acceptance and even approval. About 15 years later, we buried my friend at the age of 36, dead from AIDS. Okay, do gay people die of AIDS? Sure. Do straight people die of AIDS? Uh-huh. Sexually transmitted diseases? Everybody's vulnerable to that, not just gay people. I looked it up about, well, you know what, here, let's see here, do a little switcheroo. Oh no, can I not change the scene while I'm recording? All right, well, anyway, you can look it up yourself, but I think the statistic that I saw was around 22% of heterosexual people, 22% of AIDS cases were heterosexual people. Gay people get it, straight people get it. The problem here is with unsafe, irresponsible sex, not being gay. The fact that he died of AIDS, that's unfortunate. If it's true, if he's not just making this up, which I would not doubt for a second. But yeah, the problem isn't with homosexual, heterosexual. The problem is with irresponsible, unprotected sex. Let's keep going. What page are we on here? I think just 2, right? Yeah, we'll start this one. Technically this is page 10. There's like this whole bigoted introduction, but we started with this one. So page 2. Okay. Could his family have prevented this? Maybe his family could have, maybe his school could have with, sex education, safe sex practices, things like that. But simply, all right, I don't know, but in my opinion, the approach they took didn't help. After my friend announced that he was acting on his homosexual feelings, his parents, who were wonderful, loving people, made a well-intentioned but tragic mistake. In their noble effort to love their son, they failed to distinguish between their son and the behavior of their son. They rightfully accepted him as a person deserving of love, but they failed to raise any objection to the behavior that would ultimately lead to his death. So, oh my God, yeah, we're definitely going to have to limit this to 10 pages because what a ridiculous thing to say. Okay, let's just say that deaths are tragic. A death, by and large, is tragic. Would he say the same thing? What would be his argument from a heterosexual person who got AIDS and they passed away from it? Would he say the same thing? Would he say that their lifestyle is what ultimately killed him? Or in that case, would it be not practicing safe sex, not practicing responsible sex? Would that be the cause, not the heterosexuality? What would be his response? I'm very curious. Oh, where were we? Love requires us to stand in opposition to behavior that will likely hurt or kill our love. likely hurt or kill our loved ones, having sex with the same sex as you are likely to get hurt or killed. Frank Turek, 2023. Jesus. No, is if you're practicing safe sex, you are very unlikely to be hurt or killed. Heterosexual, homosexual, it doesn't matter. If you're practicing safe sex, if you do STD screenings, if you go get checkups, if you just have the basic practices of safe sex in place, you are very unlikely to get hurt or killed from those practices. I suppose you could like break your anyway. In other words, it is unloving to enable or endorse destructive behavior, regardless of where homosexual feelings come from. Feelings are not a choice, but behavior certainly is. So yeah, this is going back to the like that you most Christians will acknowledge that you don't choose what you are attracted to. They have to acknowledge it because it's insane. You might want to be attracted to somebody, but you aren't, or you wish you weren't attracted to somebody, but you are. You really don't have much control over that. But they're saying that you don't have, just because you want to have the gay sex, you don't have to have the gay sex. I suppose that is true, but we also want people to live happy lives and have the sexual partners that they wish to have. That's it's stupid. Where were we? It is unloving to pretend that there is nothing wrong with behavior that often results in such tragic outcomes. It often results in such tragic outcomes. What's the stats on this? Where's the statistics that often? How are we defining often? Because many straight people die of STDs. STDs affect everybody, not just gay people. What was this written in 1804? What are they? Okay. Often results in tragic outcomes. In fact, in today's society, we've stood common sense on its head. Okay? We're not just asked to be tolerant anymore. We're now called bigoted homophobes if we don't endorse demonstratively false assertions that homosexual sex and marriage are just as healthy and moral as heterosexual sex and marriage. Yes, Frank. Yes, you are called bigoted homophobes when you say that homosexual marriage and sex is unhealthy, immoral. Was there a third one? That homosexual sex and marriage. Yes, that homosexual marriage and sex are not healthy. Like, yes, you're being a bigoted homophobe. Whoever's calling you whoever's calling you the bigoted homophobes, and nobody's asking you, what do you mean endorse? Like, you don't have to, just shut up about it. Of course you don't have to shut up about it, but when you say bigoted homophobic things, you're probably going to get called a bigoted homophobe because you're being one. I don't know. It would be like this. I'm just going to replace some words here. And we are now called bigoted racists if we don't endorse the demonstrably false assertion that interracial sex and marriage is just as healthy as non-interracial sex and marriage. Like, yeah, you're going to get called a bigoted racist if you say that. Okay, you get the point. Let's move on. What are we on? Page 2? Jesus, yeah. Oh, okay. We might have to cut this into 5 pages. Okay, I think we need to stand against this harmful tide of political correctness. We need to tactfully expose the bad arguments. That's what I'm waiting for. Expose the bad arguments and the fallacious slogans. I want that. I hope it's covered in this book. I really want to know what these bad arguments and fallacious slogans are. But anyway, we need to tactfully expose the bad arguments and fallacious slogans offered in support of homosexuality and same-sex marriage. We need to point out that endorsing those things is not loving, but actually hurts everyone, including homosexuals. That's what I will attempt to show in this book. So this is just basically a reiteration of the first page. I mean, you could have just copied and pasted that. Yeah. Before anyone accuses me of gay bashing, you're gay bashing, Frank. You're gay bashing. That's what this book has been so far. You say gay people are gay marriage is immoral, gay sex is immoral, gay people die of AIDS. Yes, you're gay bashing, dude. Like, yeah, okay. Before anyone accuses me of gay bashing, please allow me to state my intentions directly. This book is not meant to disparage anyone. You've covered that in page 1. What do you mean? You've already done that. This book is not meant to disparage anyone, including people who consider themselves gay. Okay. This book is simply meant to express disagreement. Okay, hold on. The title of the book is correct. That's the first word, correct. You're not expressing disagreement. You are stating you are correct and whoever is opposing you is incorrect. You're not expressing a disagreement. You are asserting that you are correct. Let me get some water here. Okay. This book is simply meant to express disagreement over public policy questions. Just like I disagree with many of my heterosexual friends over certain issues, I also disagree with my friends who advocate for homosexuality and same-sex marriage, whether they consider themselves gay or straight. So basically what he's saying there is he disagrees with straight people who support homosexuals and same-sex marriage, and he also disagrees with straight people gay people who support same-sex marriage. Any book that addresses the political question of same-sex, any book that addresses the political question of same-sex marriage cannot avoid the issue of homosexual behavior. What is homosexual behavior? Are you just talking about gay sex? So let's just say that there is two guys who love each other, but they're just not into the sex thing. Like they're asexual. Like they just love each other. They want to build a life together. They want to have a relationship, but they just don't do the gay sex. Would Frank Turek have a problem with it then? Or is it still immoral? Like maybe they just kiss and they hold hands. Homosexual, this issue of there's no issue of homosexual behavior. That doesn't exist. That's not a real issue. That's a Frank Turek issue. That's a bigoted homophobe issue. I have a feeling I'm going to be saying bigoted homophobe a lot. Anyway, let's keep going. Yeah, we're at 18 minutes and we're on page 3. So we might cut this down into 5 pages at a time. This book is... where was I? Is there a way to bookmark on this? I never... And I want to be, if you've made it this far, and you're interested and you want to go through this absolute word vomit with me, we can follow along together. Give me a like, hit subscribe if you're new here. I really appreciate it. And also, I want to make it very clear that I did not pay for this book. I did not give any money to Frank Turek, although in order to expose it and cover it, I probably wouldn't have mind to do that, but luckily I didn't have to. This book is not okay. Any book that addresses the political question of same-sex marriage cannot avoid the issue of homosexual behavior, whatever that is. However, the focus of this book is not about the morality or immorality of homosexuality or same-sex marriage, although we will touch on that. Okay. So I've asked this question before. That if um there was, let's just say that the Bible said nothing about gay people, didn't mention same excuse me, same sex marriage, man shall lay with another man. It didn't mention any of that. It just didn't touch on the subject. What would be a Christian's argument against um uh homosexual behavior, the issue of homosexual behavior? What would they have to say about it then? Because as far as I can tell, they hide behind this veil of immorality. God says so. God says it's wrong. They hide behind that, to front their, they think gay people are disgusting. That's what it really comes down to, is they just don't like seeing two dudes kiss or hold hands or they think it's gross. They don't like it. That's the real argument here. But they hide behind this veil of God says it's immoral. You're gonna burn in hell. Jesus loves you though. So that's strange to hear Frank Turek say that. However, the focus of this book is not about the morality or immorality of homosexuality or same-sex marriage. Frank, you're saying the quiet part out loud, dude. You can't. You gotta shh. You can't. That's the quiet part, man. Although we will touch on it. The focus of this book is about whether either of those things should be endorsed and promoted by the government. What does that mean? In promoted, endorsed? Does the government okay, I get the endorse, to accept or allow. And it's funny because I'm going I will make the argument that the government doesn't endorse it. If you want to stick with the argument that the Bible doesn't endorse slavery, then I'm just going to say that the government doesn't endorse same-sex marriage. Even though that, by and large, it is accepted and allowed. I'm sorry, where was I? Here we go. Let's keep going. Endorsed or promoted by the government. I think it should be endorsed and promoted by the government as equally as any other marriage is. No more, no less. It shouldn't be same-sex marriage or heterosexual marriage, homosexual. It should just be marriage, and that's it. Of course, based on their sex, doesn't matter. I will argue that even if you think that there is nothing morally wrong. What? Dude. Any book, I'm sorry. However, the focus of this book is not about morality or immorality of same-sex marriage. Next sentence. Even if you think there is nothing morally wrong, you just said that this is not. Okay. Anywho, even if you think there's nothing morally wrong with homosexual behavior, there isn't. And if you think there is, you're a bigoted homophobe. There are very good reasons why you should oppose same-sex marriage. Okay, I guess I see what he's saying there. So even if you think that the gay sex is okay, you should still be opposed to the gay marriage, is what he's essentially saying. In this book, I'll attempt to show you with why the evidence supports that position. What evidence could I'm genuinely interested in what the evidence are, what the bad arguments are, what the fallacious slogans are. I really hope he actually gets into this. If the evidence actually does support, that's where I'm at, right? Yes. If the evidence actually does support that position, does it mean everyone will adopt that position? Of course not. Good arguments will not convince anyone who is not open to being convinced. We can all ignore facts that contradict our desires because desires overrule the mind when we want them to. I have not one single desire to have any type of relationship with a man. I'm just not attracted to men. Not even like a tiny little itty bitty bit. So why would I ignore the facts? Because when I don't have that desire. But yeah, I still think anybody should be able to marry whoever they want. Um, as far as sex is concerned, of course. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, one more drink here. Keep coughing into the mic. So we can all ignore facts that contradict our desires because desires. Well, overall, I don't have these desires, but yet I'm still supposedly ignoring these facts. This is especially true in issues involving sex, as one of the most powerful forces of human nature. The unchecked sex drive can cloud good reasoning and even foster disdain for those trying to be reasonable about it. Well, I mean, I won't disagree that an unchecked sex drive can cloud good reasoning. This is true. Many people have done some dumb things in the name of okay. I need to stay focused here. Is one of the most powerful about it. Okay, so I doubt that there is any evidence that I or anyone could offer to convince those who are determined to stay on the other side of the issue. Well, I mean, an unchecked sex drive. So, but what about the same-sex marriage? Like, I support the gay sex and the gay marriage. What does that have to do with being convinced? Okay, anyway. However, if you are someone who is open to truth, I hope this book will help you to stand for the truth that personally stand. Oh my goodness. However, if you are someone who is open to truth, I hope this book will help you to stand for that truth personally and politically. As we are about to see, there is nothing gay about the long-term effects of government backed same-sex marriage. Wow. There's nothing cool about smoking. There is nothing gay about the long-term effects of government-backed same-sex marriage. What does that mean? Frank. Okay, so apparently there's definitely nothing gay about this long-term. That's fucking gay. There's nothing gay about the long-term effects of government-backed same-sex marriage. The government or the negative. Okay, let me see what page I'm on here. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. My goodness, we're only 3 pages in. It's 27 minutes. The negative effects will be extremely damaging to this country and its citizens. Of gay marriage, dude? What are you talking about? Extremely damaging to the citizens of this country and its citizens? It's just gay marriage, dude. There's nothing gay about. Oh my god, that's hilarious. There's nothing gay about the long-term effects of. Why did he write that? There's nothing gay about it. Okay. I mean, was he going with like the classical, like the old school definition, like gay being happy, like there's nothing happy about it? Was he trying to be clever there? That was, I don't know. I found that funny. Um, that's why we all need to set emotion aside and act according to the facts. The fact that we need to realize, the first fact that we need to realize is that this debate is not what most people think it is about. What same-sex marriage debate is not about. In 1988, a group of prominent homosexuals got together in Warrentown, Virginia to map out a plan to get homosexuality accepted by the general public. How dare they? How dare they? They want to be accepted by the general public? if you want to know if whatever you may or may not be reading is homophobic or bigoted, just replace the word homosexual or gay or whatever with black or white or some type of race, and ask yourself if it sounds a little bit racist when you put that in there. If it does, then you're probably reading something homophobic, just as you would be reading something that's probably a little bit racist. I mean, so just imagine that. In 1988, In 1988, a group of prominent black people got together to map out their plan to get black people accepted by the general public. That sounds a little bit racist, right? And by a little bit, I mean that's extremely racist. You know what I mean, not wanting to get accepted, but the way that you would word that. In that book, that in the book that resulted from their meeting, they revealed a strategy that achieves its effects without reference to facts, logic or proof that a person's belief can be altered, whether he is conscious of the attack or not. They revealed a strategy that achieves its effect without reference to facts, logic, or proof. I'm guessing that means that you don't necessarily have to have facts, logic or proof to change somebody's mind. I think that's what he means by that. But not being a bigot, like you don't need facts, logic, or proof to convince the Nazis why they shouldn't kill the Jews, to convince the Klan people why they shouldn't lynch black. You don't need to back that up with facts, logic, and proof. It's just, in other words, their strategy was pure propaganda. They just, to get accepted by the general public is pure propaganda. Whatever they put out, it doesn't matter. If their ultimate goal is to just get accepted, that's not propaganda. Okay. That propaganda campaign has many people today believing that denying same-sex marriage involves denying rights to a victimized minority. Because it does. What do you... we definitely need to limit this to 5 pages. What a ridiculous thing to say. That in one sentence, you say that they had a plan to get homosexuality accepted, not endorsed, not promoted, not a special rights, nothing, just to be simply accepted by the general public. And then in the next sentence, in the next paragraph, you say that, in other words, their strategy was pure propaganda. That propaganda campaign has many people today believing that denying same-sex marriage involves denying rights to a victimized minority. Yes, because they were trying to get accepted by the general public. They're absolutely a victimized minority. If they're not a majority, that makes them a minority. And if they're trying to get accepted by the general public, that means that they aren't currently accepted by the general public. They're a victimized minority. What the are you talking about, Frank? Okay, that belief cannot be further from the truth. In fact, let me suggest what the same-sex marriage debate is not about. It's not about equality or equal rights. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You can't just say that. You can't just say, hey, this certain class of people, heterosexual people, can do this thing and they can receive benefit from it. But this certain class of people, homosexuals, cannot do this thing and cannot receive that benefit. That's about equality and equal rights. It cannot be more clear. Okay, it's not about discrimination against a class of people. Yes, it is. How many gay people have been literally beaten to death? How many trans people have been literally beaten to death? Not just like murdered, but bare knuckles punched until they are dead. Discrimination against a class of people. What's going on in Uganda right now? Okay. This book is infuriating, and it's difficult to read without getting a little bit agitated, but we're going to keep going. It's not about denying homosexuals the ability to commit to one another. Yes, it is. In 1988, if a group of people were trying to get the general public to simply accept them, how on earth do you think that they have the ability to commit to one another if they can't even go outside and do normal things that a couple would do? Hold hands on a walk, kiss in a park, have a picnic. Is it more accepted today? Yes, of course. But don't tell me that you could just go out in any area and you're not going to be looked at weird, ridiculed, criticized, thought that okay, we're going to keep going. It's not about love or private relationships. Well, yes it is. It's not about tolerance or intolerance. Yes, it is. Not about bigotry or homophobia. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is all the thing. He's Xing out all the things that the debate are actually about. This is what the same-sex marriage. It's not about sexual orientation or being born a certain way. It's not about race or the civil rights struggle. Okay. That's interesting. It's not about interracial marriage. What the okay, Frank is definitely against interracial marriage. I don't care what you say. I have no facts, logic, or proof to back this up. But hey, what happened? He definitely is against the interracial marriage. I'm just making that claim. It's not about heterosexuals and divorce. Oh, okay. I see what he's trying to do here. There was just a loud bang upstairs. I see what he's trying to do here. He's trying to put the arguments that I have already used when I said plug like, black people into see if it's racist. He's trying to X that out right here. Like later on in the book, if he says, well, gay people get divorced at a higher rate, and you'd be like, well, heterosexual people get divorced too. And he'd be like, that's not what this debate is about. He's trying to X those arguments out right here in the beginning. But they're valid arguments. It's not about heterosexuals and divorce. It's not about the separation of church and state. It's not even about religion. You're saying the quiet part out loud again, Frank. Shh. It's just about you can really just get rid of all these and say it's about bigotry and homophobia. That's really what it comes down to. Gay people are gross and you don't like it when they kiss. That's really what we're talking about here. This is page 4. We're gonna do. You know what? We're gonna end it. We're gonna end it right here at what it's not about. So it's not about. It's not even about religion. It's so if you don't have the religion aspect backing up your views, what do you have? You just have the bigotry and homophobia. You can't even say like, well, I don't have a problem with it, but God says it's wrong, and God's the arbiter of morality, so I gotta go with like you're just saying it's not about any of this. You just don't like gay people. All right, so we're gonna end it with here before we go with we'll pick it back up with so what is the debate about? But let's finish this up. But that's all I hear about, you say. Of course, that's because the propaganda campaign continues to be successful. Those topics are all a smokescreen designed to divert you from the homophobic bigotry. In fact, for homosexuals, this debate is in fact, for homosexuals, this debate isn't even about marriage. As data from countries with same-sex marriage show, approximately 96% of homosexuals don't get married when they are given the opportunity. And those who do get married break up at a much higher rate than heterosexuals. Oh my goodness, did I call that very early? In the next page about when I said it's not about heterosexual divorce, he's bringing this up. Let's see what his sources are here. Approximately 96% don't get married when they are given the opportunity. Um, let's just say that that is correct. I don't care. I don't care if 100% don't get married. The point is that they have the choice just like everyone else does, just like heterosexual couples do. That's what matters here. But 96%, what's the source here? In the Netherlands, footnote. In the Netherlands, which has had same-sex marriage, only between 2% of have married. Social numbers are consistent in others as well. Marriage to that's not we'll use the average of 4% or 96% who have not married. The rate is highest at 16%. In the early days of same-sex marriage, but the number is still low. It's probably reflecting the same pent-up demand found in other lands where the number of same-sex marriage declined over years. Demand for same-sex marriage, evidence from the United States, Canada, and Europe, Institute of Marriage, Public Policy, 2006, posted online at marriagedebate.com. So I don't. I'm gonna check each and every single one of his sources. At least check the footnote and see if I care enough to look into it. But this one, I don't. I don't care. I don't care if 0%, 100%, the percent does not matter. The only thing that matters is they have the opportunity just like heterosexual couples do. That's all that matters. And I also don't care at the rate in which when they see, I like how he puts, and those who do get married. So he acknowledges that they can get married, but won't say divorce. They break up at much higher rate than homosexuals. Again, I don't care. I don't care if every single gay couple who has ever gotten married, every single one of them has also gotten divorced. I don't care. It does not matter. They have the right to divorce. They have the right to marry. That's all that matters. What's his source on this? Americans for Truth. Yeah. The divorce rate for homosexual men in Norway and Sweden is 50% higher than heterosexual marriage, and lesbian divorce rate is 150% higher. See Gunnar Anderson, the demographics of same-sex marriage in Norway. 2006. Well, this was written in 2008, so that's a current study for the time. AmericansForTruth.com. Okay, so from what I can tell, both of his sources are religious. MarriageDebate.com. Take a wild guess of what that is. I genuinely have no idea, but I can, you know what? I can't show it on the screen here. So I don't know how to change what I'm showing live, but we'll just go with it. MarriageDebate.com. That's not what that says. Is this even a real site anymore? This was written in 2008, so it's a little bit old. Am I spelling that wrong? Why isn't it popping up? Where is that at? That's Americans for Truth. Yeah, I didn't think I was that dumb. MarriageDebate.com. Institute for Marriage and Public Policy, Strengthening Marriage for New Jersey, Marriage Debate. Okay, so I put in Marital Agreements Institute for what? All right, I'm getting sidetracked here, but I put in marriagedebate.com and it just took me to a blog from President Maggie Geller as the president of Institute for Marriage and Public Policy. Case for marriage. If marriage is natural, why is defending it so hard? gay marriage evidence from Europe. New from IMAP. No, this isn't even like a real. This is not Forms, pal. Okay, so marriage debate that his source is no longer a real thing. I typed it in. It took me to something weird. It was not that website. It was like Forms Pal or something. So I'm just gonna Google marriage debate. Psychology Today, the Heritage Foundation, The Atlantic, BuzzFeed, Brides, Gay Marriage.org, National Review. Okay, so his first source is completely invalid because that it no longer exists. What was the second source? So last thing we're gonna do here, I just wanna AmericansForTruth.com. AmericansForTruth.com about homosexuality. So this site is super legit. I encourage you guys to check it out. I definitely encourage you guys to check it out. Fox News, Americans for Truth Radio Hour, donate. About Americans for Truth. He's citing the source. He's citing the source of AmericansForTruth.com. Let's read the about section. What do they got going on here? About Americans for Truth, about homosexuality, and Americans for Truth. AH founder Peter Bram. Okay, so here's one of his sources. He's definitely not biased in any way. He's coming at this with just an open and honest attitude, willing to learn. He definitely has no bias. His source here, AmericansForTruth.com. Peter Labara is 56, is president of Americans for Truth about homosexuality. Okay, so he puts AmericansForTruth.com, and that takes you to this page, but that's not the name of the group. The name of the group is actually Americans for Truth about homosexuality. That's the website he's linking here. Peter Labara, 56, president of Americans for Truth about homosexuality, is a nonpartisan, mind you, he's not partisan, educational group dedicating to exposing the homosexual, bisexual, transgender activist agenda. Nonpartisan, remember that. Founded as part-time venture in AFT, America's AFTAH, Americans for Truth about homosexuality. We're going to call it AFTA, seeks to apply the same single-minded determination to opposing the radical homosexual agenda and standing for God-ordained sexuality and the natural family as countless homosexuals groups do in promoting their harmful agenda. Nonpartisan, by the way. Jesus Christ. So this is the absolute just brain dead. All right, let me collect myself here. This is what you get when you listen to people like Frank Turek. This is the quality of argument that you get when you post links. When you post your sources, you of course you should always source your arguments. If you're listing data or some type of fact, you should always source it so people can look it up and see where did you get that information, and then they can pick it apart from there, which I just did. And Americans, the first one doesn't exist, at least as far as I can tell. And the second one is well, you just heard. what it is. That's not, I mean, technically, yeah, that is where you got that information from. But uh if you said something to the effect of like all people of this race are low IQ, and then you source it, and then you look at the source and uh, visit that source's webpage or whatever, and it said the link, the website that you got that information from is like I hate this race.com. That's what Frank Turek just did here. Okay, 50 minutes. We're gonna wrap this up. We're definitely gonna have to keep this to 5 pages because there's just so much. There's so much. There's so much. There's so much. It's a lot. Um, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you. I really appreciate it. Please like, please subscribe, and I will see you in part 2 of this many part book that we're gonna do. All right. Thank you.